Hello guys, today I will talk about chapter 5, fixing common writing problem. Let's get started. Let's see the content. I will cover 4 content today. First, I will talk about organizing document. Then I will talk about paragraph logic. After that, I will talk about building with subheads. And finally, I will talk about working with transitions. First, everyone have persistent problem when start writing something, but luckily, most of the problem can solve with our common sense approach, which means you don't have to master of grammar rules. Don't forget that your writing comes from your process of thoughtful, which means if you cannot deliver the message to yourself, your audience won't understand it too. Many writers, including experienced writers, say that the organization document was their biggest challenge. If you follow the rule from chapter 2 that show you how to plan each message before you start, you can sidestep from organizing document. But it doesn't work with long and complicated messages, especially when they are written by more than one person. And you may need to review an organization at this point and fix by using following techniques. The easiest way to look at your paragraph is start with that chunk of text should contain no more than 3 to 5 sentences. If you write your document that way, your message avoid falling too confusing and easily to achieve a logical flow. These are techniques for insert the brain. First one, scan your text. First, break the flow into paragraph at this point. Second, 3 to 5 sentences is applied to print material, but for online reading, 1 sentence per paragraph is fine. Shorter paragraph work better. Third, see if the content connect with your preceding paragraph. If latter, move up the paragraph and break a new one. And finally, if when you start writing scan whole message and don't like the sequence, adjust the language to make the paragraph still clearly to each other. In conclusion of paragraph logic, you often find repeat words or bold idea during this step, so make sure you necessarily cut and smooth everything out. The point of paragraphing is clarity. So, if you want to deliver information, don't use long, confusing words. The main reason that you cannot organize your word well because you don't understand it well enough to present to each other. So ask yourself, what is my point I'm going to write? Now, let's move to the next topic. This topic is about building with subhead. Let's get started. Another strategy for organizing is to add a few simple subheads. Subheads is an excellent graphic technique. They also plan what you write and help you clarify your message. Here is how to writing a subhead and add more value to your article. So in this PowerPoint, you will see an example of subheading. In this article, if you want to make subhead and instantly engage readers, you should shuffle rolling date and everyone must put it to the top and cover both ideas in the subject line. You can also use what is in it for me technique to give benefit to your reader. Subheads usually work well to pull your reader through the message and can keep them organized, and the reader will pick up the main point even if they just scan the message. Don't read them all. In conclusion of working with subheads, long, complex documents benefit from the subhead strategy too. Drafting heading and subhead is a great way to be sure that you cover all of the right bases. Identify missing piece early on and also build in your good clarification in project start. Now let's move to the next topic. The last topic for me is working with transitions. Let's see it. Then we talk about working with transitions. Transitions are like the connective tissue that hold your skeleton together and empower you to go wherever you want. Transition can consist of single words, phrases, and also sentences. Good transitions help you to organize your idea as a writer, and for the reader, they promote the feeling that argument is sensible. Transitions are important tools for our writing. This is categories of transition. You can see it on screen, so I'm not gonna explain more. In conclusion of working with transition gives you a good way to begin paragraph or section. Also, sentences can serve as a transition. They are a super simple way to organize material, including within long document. Don't forget to read aloud to review your transition. Perhaps you need to remove them.
Working in list, number, and bulleting. Lists offer an excellent way to present information in a compact, to the point manner that suit readers' internet trend, text skimming habit, and most people like them. They also automatically forward graphic revision, another plus for your document. Numberless list. Use numberless list into present sequence of event, procedure, and processes. For example, a numberless list can guide readers on how to do something. For example, follow this step to setting up your first iOS device. How to setting up your first iOS device. Number 1. Turn on your device. Number 2. Activate your device. Number 3. Set up Face ID and create a passcode. Number 4. Sign in with Apple ID.
Scout actively for opportunity to organize a sequence by date or milestone. 1. Jan 10. Deadline 1. Submit project proposal. 2. Jan 15. Deadline 2. Finalize working plan. 3. Jan 31. Deadline 3. Submit final project. Using numbered lists may sound simple-minded, but they bestow a quality that is so unambiguous. Few people can misinterpret your meaning.
Tip: you can also number lists in more sophisticated ways. Bloggers use them, for example, to present blog posts in popular and reader-friendly style. Numbering is also a staple for presenters. For example, 1. I'm going to give you 10 reasons why should sinister be active. 2. Here are 5 benefits of healthy eating. Technique: work your every time because audience like knowing how much is ahead of them and love taking off the speaker focus is give them easier to remember. Takes away to tip. Make item your list parallel in structure. Begin them with the same parts of speech, and they work best visually when there are approximately the same length. Bold points apply bullets as well, and are illustrated in the following section. Bulleted list alternatively referred to as a bullet point. A bullet is an interlist back dot. Circle or another mark file before the text. They are utilized to identify key item or denote significant. Bullet points are often used in presentation to help organize information and help it easier to read or understand. Tip to successfully use bulleting. Take account of the guideline outlined here. Number 1. Don't use too many. For example, research show that people can absorb more than about 7 bullets at one go. They tune out after that because each bullet typically makes a separate point and give little logical contention to hold on to. If you must be present more than 7 bullets, break them into more than one list and intersperse some narrative material. Number 2. Use the same sentence structure for every bullet. Start each item similarly. Sentence structure must be parallel so as not to confuse readers. You can begin bullet point with action verb, for example, such as when you present accomplishment in resume, for example. Innovated, streamline, transform, mentor. Or you can compose a bullet list that starts with nouns such as when you visit in Cairo, be sure to pack 1. Topical microfiber coating. 2. Sunglasses with good UV coating. 3. Sun hat with extra long vision.
Wearing, don't be lazy and create bulleted lists of related mix and match thoughts like this. Here are goals to aim for in business writing. You want a conversational but professional tone. When you code numbers, check that your reader use thought system. Don't be emotional or make things up. Jane is trying to standardize a similar look on chat and graph. Once she does so, use that standard. 2. You can refine this list by rearranging points 2 to 4. Start right the first one. You want to check that all numbers coded are in line with system your readers. You want to avoid emotion or making things up. Wearing. Key bullet point meaning don't depend on bullet point to convince people of something or expert readers to fill in the gap between them. Bullet are orange formatting done automatically. Take the easy way out and use bullet and numberless lists. When you have information to share or want to present something persuasively, which apply to most material, you write this format may be fast to adapt, but if they don't present your message as clearly as possible, you undermine your success. Take a hard look during the editing stage to see if your material might present better and be more persuasive in narrative form, or by translating some portion into a visual, such as a table or graph.
The solution: find an introductory sentence that covers the points want you to make. For example, conversational but professional style, non-emotional tone, number system formula to your readers, consistent style of chart and graph, portrait and format bullets consistently.
My topic is catching common mistakes. Cover 3 topics. First, grammar-related goal. Raise your consciousness to that you can recognize some of your own problems. Give your practical tips for fixing those problems that require little grammar know-how. Relieve you of some of your worries. What you are doing may be perfectly okay for today's less formal communications. Remember this tip. In the following sections, I show you the problems I most often find in event-solving writers, or are easily fixed to make your writing a whole lot more effective right away. One general guideline to help you relax. When your own writing confronts you with a grammar problems that's hard to resolve, or you just can't figure out what's wrong, write the sentence differently to sidestep the challenge altogether. Second, using comma sense. Stop stressing about commas. If visual cues don't work for you, use oral ones. If you read the word aloud to say what you presumably intend, that grandpa should eat. The first option sounds this way: eat grandpa. A long pause with a chain inflection signals the comma is needed, and definitely this sentence needs the comma. Notice in the example that the downward tone can be voiced after eat, or the first syllable of grandpa. Eat grandpa. Too many commas can also be a problem. Reliant on the internet as the source of all information produces problems for the connected generation. Badly placed commas in cases like this often signal a wording problem. A better version could live relying on the internet for all information creates problems for the connected generation. Remember this tip: reading aloud can also kill runaway or run-on sentences that typically depend on misused commas. Here one that emerged from a writing seminar. Grammar is something that everyone can always touch upon. The writers should use simple punctuation. Properly place the punctuation marks. Things like too many commas and semicolons can confuse the reader. Things to remember. The read aloud test shows that the long sustain pause after touch-up on call for starting a new sentence. The comma between the two middle thoughts doesn't work either because and should connect them. Insert that conjunction and it's then clear that you need a period after marks, because to read meaningfully demands another sustained pause. The result: grammar is something that everyone can always touch upon. Writers should use simple punctuation and properly place the punctuation marks. Things like too many commas and semicolons can confuse the reader. Another way of fixing this paragraph is to connect the whole second part with a transition and cut some redundancy as in. Writers should use simple punctuation and properly place the punctuation marks, because too many commas and semicolons can confuse the reader. Advice that I want to tell you all is train your ear, and with a little practice, you improve your punctuation quickly. Finally, using however correctly. As with commas, reading aloud gives you the clue about how to use however in your writing. Many perfectly decent writers embarrass themselves with sentences like this. I plan to write the report over the weekend. However, my dog ate it. I spent filling due on January 15. However, exception can be made. Reading these sentences aloud shows that long pauses are necessary before each however. You can break up both statements into two sentences with period. After weekend and January 15, the second sentence in each case starts with however. Remember this tip. Alternatively, you can sidestep the however problem and also refine your wording in one of these ways. Replace the however with but. If this substitution works, go with the but is correct and less stuffy as well. Use however only to begin sentences. Move a however that falls in the middle of this sentence to the beginning and see whether the meaning holds. For example, he agreed with Jane, however, she was wrong. He wants to know, however, so he can plan his vacation. Moving however to the front makes nonsense of the first sentence. With the second sentence, however, the move retains the basic meaning.
Okay guys, now I will explain about how to matching nouns and pronouns. Using the pronoun is so simple. First, you need to know the pronouns that can replace the nouns. Such as the girl, you must use she. A cat, you must use it. You and I, you must use we. And Lisa and Bill, you must use they. For example, you and I will go to the university. This sentence is wrong. If you use we for you and I, it will look better. For example, we will go to the university. Tip: as a general rule, go with what seems natural, but check yourself out. Try adding subtracting word, as in the beginning examples. There's confusion when to use a plural pronouns, such as there, is, it's. In this situation, be careful to the original noun. For example, a journalist must always be attuned to his reader interest. If nouns are not singular, you need to change the sentence to avoid the problem. For example, journalist must always be attuned to to reader interest, and change the original noun plural. Journalists must always be attuned to their readers. If you think the sentence is long, you can change another option for shortening. For example, journalists must always attune to reader interest. Tip: the word that cause the most trouble in the noun pronoun. Matchup are each, anyone, anybody, everyone, either, nobody. Okay, now I will talk about which and that. Most people always choose that rather than which, but the latter one refers to something specific. When you are not sure which to use, try using that and see whether the sentence has the same meaning. If it does, keep that. For example, the report that I wrote at home is on John's desk now. But if you think that doesn't reflect your meaning, you can switch that to which. For example, the report which I wrote at home is on John's desk now. Now I will talk about how to considering who and that. Most people have become depersonalized into objects. For example, the new office manager who started on Monday already called in sick. Remember, as a favor to me, please use who when referring to people if it is objects and ideas. You should choose that. You may choose to refer to animals as who, but some prefer that. To the next topic, I will talk about choosing who and who. This is familiar territory. Grammar enthusiasts insist that you differentiate between the words used as a subject and as you object. But adhering to the rule, you can run you in some stuffy places. For example, to whom should I address the package? This sentence is wrong. You should change the sentence that will look natural for you. For example, who should I address this package to? This sentence looks better than the first sentence. Tip: in the case of the last example, don't use an archaic phrase like who it may concern at all. To the last topic is beginning with and or but. Like other wording choices addressed in these sections, grammatical standards have relaxed and holding. The last individual complains about sentences that begin with and or but. The Wall Street Journal does it. The New York Times does it. I do it a lot. And so can you. But not so often that it loses its effect. Starting sentences with this conjunction adds to your determined variety and gives you a way to add little verb, especially to online writing. Works best with short sentences because can be used the same way. Although I still hear people repeating the schoolroom mantra agents starting sentences with the word, and you can start an associational sentences with yet, all, and so.
3 2
เอาเลยนะ
1
Using sentence fragments, you probably recall you get school teachers using this idea how every sentence must be complete. Now, verb object technically this remains true, but as our pace of writing speeds up so much our brain can get, except when writing the most formal documents. For example, yes, there's so many petty long, I know. You are like following the rules of grammar, not so much. Use good grammar in everything you write, unless breaking the rules makes sense and doesn't look like a mistake. Remember, fragments carry the business casual tone that works for most practical writing degree. Visual punching with the speed of reading, help promotional copy sound, music or even shaky, and break up sentence dictionary. Never again. Maybe next time. Yes, tomorrow. When you write online copy, unless the material is really formal, use fragment to keep people engaged. Any prepositions and often quoted is always attributed to wisdom, virtue, underscores the symbolize the strictly obeying some rules. It is the sort of body nonsense of which I will not put. Obviously, it's more natural to say. It is the sort of body nonsense I want put up with. Similarly, sentence short as cheat and then with preposition are fine. For example, live on the house you wrote in on. See if the answer adds up. He's a man I can get along with. He didn't know where he come from. Don't make fun of grammarians just because some of their ideas don't go where you want to. Tip: the general guideline of business writing is use what feels comfortable in conversation. By turning punctuation, commas, period, question mark, and auto punctuation signals matter a lot. They tell people how to read your writing. Often, they subtitle for the tone of voice, inflection, gestures, and body language. We naturally use when delivering a message in person. Some marks, like commas, periods, and question marks, are essential. The question mark always denotes a rising inflection. The semicolon should be used sparingly in business writing at best because it usually accompanies complex long sentences that demand disappointing. Parentheses are similarly unpopular because they disturbing and slow down reading. The modern student stick to the point and don't confuse people with more than they need to know. So, generally speaking, these are whether what they content is when including in the message of else omit the statement altogether. It is on the other hand is quite popular, and as you probably know, and particular to it myself, it carries a high telegraphic feeling and self-respect. And remember that generally you need to update one before and one after the comment. Colon are helpful when used to duplicate lists and examples. They can also produce special effect when you want to emphasize something. The silence was different depending on your style guide. The part following the colon should be capitalized if it are complete sentence or not. Marks are a bit tricky and writing tester. Right to teach people up with them the basic rules in the United States. Period and comma always go inside the marks, question mark, and exclamation point only coincide if they are part of the actual code. Exclamation points illustrate the reviewing language idea based upon they were until recently identified right with actualities and business, whilst the Singapore story avoided them. Exclamation points have listened to the occasion to keep calm temporarily with a little emotion of demand, and to this extreme supply intensity. Exclamation points have been called back into service. Warning: exclamation points can also indicate a higher level of importance. Pay attention, but just as why different emotion of the word sense escape writing with discussion. The serial comma is the commonly used or does used for the last item in the list. For dummies style is based on the Chicago version of style, which requires the extra comma. The paradox is that while serial commas help look copy to be read truthfully and more memorably and therefore support learning, they don't know the security that is essential for business writing. The journalist grammar guidelines. Business writer can learn a lot from journalists, both full-time work experience, how to present ideas and information in the clearest, most success in the interesting way possible, and for generally as the newspaper industry skills it provides an emotional training guide for writers. The classic list of blues was originally taken from a building, but at Denver's Rocky Mountain Newsman has appeared with different and odd in number on journalist books. The Rocky Mountain News stopped publishing in 2009, but many writers keeps this demonstration of grammar preferred on hand. These are the essential guidelines. First, don't use no double negatives. Second, make each pronoun agree with their antecedent. These are the essential guidelines. 1. Don't use no double negatives. 2. Make each pronoun agree with their antecedent. 3. Join consecutive like a conjunction should. 4. About them sentence fragments. 5. When done, wash your particles. 6. Verbs have to agree with their subjects. Final. Just between you and I guess is important too.
Viewing and proofreading the final check before sending your email or your document into the world or to this target audience of one. Review it as both the big picture micro level and the course in micro level. Warning: editing is essential, but almost always the process can unintentionally shift meaning and introduce new mistake. Plan to review any passage you rework and last are extra time. Checking the big picture, forgetting all the work and the distraction that went into what you have written and edited. Look at your text as a self-contained place and consider: 1. Is my purpose, what I want to accomplish, absolutely clear? 2. Does the page support my personal agenda? 3. Does every element of the message support the soul I want? 4. Does the message move well and smoothly from section to section, paragraph to paragraph? And finally, is the level of detail correct? Not too much, not too little, just enough to make my case. Step even further back and read your document from your recipient viewpoint. 1. Will the reader know what I want and exactly how to respond? 2. Is the message a good match in terms of tone, communication style, and audience characteristics? 3. Does it focus on what's important to the reader? 4. If I were the recipient, would I care about the message enough to read it and respond? 5. I just provide appropriate event to support in case I'm making. What unanswered question could the reader possibly have? 6. If I were the leader, would I give the writer what he wants? 7. Can anything in the message possibility be misinterpreted or misunderstood? Could it embed anyone? 7. Can anything in the message possibility be misinterpreted or misunderstood? Could it embrace anyone? 8. How does it look? Accessible? And finally, will I feel perfectly fine if the document is forwarded to public? Proofreading your work. In professional communication circles, proofreading is seen as separate from writing and editing. Many publications now outsource their proofread service or eliminate them altogether. Tips: you can ask to help from your proofreading such as your friend, colleague, or your partner. As the saying goes, 2 sets of eyes are better than 1. File proofreading tips. For example, 1. Make sure in the case of major document to keep an original untitled version. 2. Carefully check sentence before and after every check you make. 3. Look for words that are often misplaced. 4. Check name, title, numbers, schedule, and headline. And finally, recheck all the places where are mistakes. Creating your personal writing improvement guide. Tips: get even more specified and categories. Scout of solutions in this book and other sources, and equip yourself with tools to lead the problem. How do I know when it's okay to blame the grammar rule and when it's not? A good rule for job. Does it look like an unintentional mistake, or can a leader possibly interrupt it as a mistake? If either is possible, it's not okay to bend the rules. And errors. Disrespect the reader in such case, even if deserves to be more formal. Bite the bullet and bite more steadily. The participle apply to general tone and will as language. Thank you for watching and listening.